soon as it hits this rubber mat, it just drops. You have to screen it to minus 20 mesh. That's, if you don't, what happens is, this is just a flood flower gold recovery. If you don't pre-screen it, your bigger rocks will kick your gold out. As it's traveling across the matting, the bigger piece will hit that smaller piece, which will. So when you get into the recovery end of it, you've got to classify it. Even with a blue bowl, you're not running great big rocks through blue. You classify it down to a certain stage, and then you run it. As with any separator on the market today, even a gold cube, you've got to go down. You can't just throw your river. So let's say you come up with a system where the plus 20 you could gold pan out. Anybody can gold pan that out. It's the minus 20s that are confusing to everybody, and that's. Minus 20 can get down to minus 500, so microscopic you can't even see it. And here in Alberta, this is the size of gold that you have to deal with.
Go ahead.
And there's a lot of good separators out there. But they're pricey. I just decided I could design and build my own. So.
How long have you had this for, Ray?
25 years now. There used to be a guy called Gold Finder, Wayne Lowen. Him and I were two peas in a pod for about 5 to 6 years. And he really knew his stuff. So a lot of the things that you'll see, this machine was him and I, between the two of us. And then it got too bad and he ended up committing suicide.
How you doing?
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you come on in.
How you doing?
Very good.
Ray's just explaining he's getting started here a little early.
Originally was designed, it's not, people call it a mini cleanup sluice. It's not. It's designed so that I can take my sluice box, which is miner's moss. I can go to the river and I can shovel. Anybody knows with miner's moss, at the end of the day you got 5 gallons of material to deal with through the mattings. So okay, what do you do with this 5 gallons of material, which is loaded with flood flour? So I come up with a system, build a machine, screen it down, anybody can gold pan plus 20. That's simple. It's the minus 20s that confuses everybody. So one machine, one run, Lori runs it. Of course, with anything, it's angle, water flow, and test the back end of it. Here, the secret is, yeah, you won't find no bubbles. It's restricted water flow. Did you notice that? This machine will only allow so much water across it. As with any machine, it's elevation, it's angle, and water flow. So that took quite a while to master. And when it's running, just look at the machine, look down the center of it. The next time you're at the river, look at the river. And tell me they're not exactly the same. So that's what I did with this. And it works like a darn, especially for the fines. And it's the matting. This is, notice this is quite a bit of different V groove.
So that's not your typical shallow V
Nope.
matting?
Nope. You can't even get this matting anymore. But I'm looking for a similar, something similar to this.
That's very small, like I said, compared to what you had here. It's very tiny in comparison.
So where did you get that matting in the first place? Like
Ontario.
Ontario. Now, okay. So
I shopped around. At the time when I was looking, you didn't have as many options as you did today. So we shopped around and we found a place in Ontario. We actually had matting shipped 3 or 4 times. And this is what we, and I have 3 sections. There's 2 other sections to this. Each V groove is just a little bit
Wider and a little
Wider.
bit higher. And
so you got the finer one.
so this is for fine only, this section.
This is for Alberta. There's one section that's for Alberta. And you don't need the other sections on unless you're going into coarse gold country. But that's all there is to it. It's elevation, and with any machine, between these little lines, each one it's a vortex, and as soon as the gold hits it, it drops. That's why there's various, I can run it at any angle, and you'll notice a valve. So I can, every location is different. You have to learn to play with it. I don't, it's North Saskatchewan I'm fairly familiar with. So if you can control the angle and the flow, you know yourself. That's the two biggies.
Yeah.
Master those, and you've got her built.
See, when we're out at the river too, he'll be sluicing, and I'll take and screen material right from the river into the pail here. I'll fill up a 5-gallon pail of material, and I'll be running the separator all day while he's sluicing. And at the end of the day, we go home with gold and
I can
concentrates to
see,
run.
yeah, screen it right out of this pail into this pail, right out of that pail into the machine. Done deal. At the end of the day, gold straight in the pan. It's real simple. I've had investigators, I've had inspectors look this over. I could do this in the river. Explain to me what law I'm breaking. A, I'm not sucking out of the river. B, I'm not discharging into the river. It's a complete circulation system. That's what mystifies them.
We're gonna need some water. Can't run it without water.
Did you bring your hose?
So
That's okay. No.
10 gallons, 15 gallons of water, and you're good to go.
That's good. Oh, yeah.
And I hit it one time backing out, so yeah, now I have to
It's a little bent, but
do that.
15 years of using something, it's bound to have some wear and tear.
This machine's been all over from Yukon to BC to Northwest Territories, you name it.
So have you built more of those, or just got
No,
one?
it's just the one. It's lightweight, it's portable. I mean, the lightweight, that's one hand.
It's all aluminum.
And you could, if you had to, if I had to take it somewhere, you could run it like the old boys did with a dip sluice. And you could use it for testing. I have a gas pump. There's a manifold.
On the counter. Was right up here. Was sitting right there. I put it up here. Got moved.
Anyway, yeah, I run a manifold off it, and I'm able to.
It got moved down here. To go.
Yeah, I can run a 1-inch, 1.5-inch pump through my 2-inch line, dead end, and I've got a hose that runs off my 1.5-inch pump, so I can do this. Either electric pump, gas pump. The village pump is handy. You can do this at the river. I've got a light plant. There's various ways. There's solar panels. But this breaks no law, and there's nothing nobody can do. You don't even need a miner's license for this. You don't need a license till you put a pump in the river. As soon as you put a pump in the river, then you need a license. So you can work a unit at the river and be shoveling out of the river, but not discharging back into the river or sucking out of the river.
We had an inspector come and follow.
Stand there for half an hour, scratch their head, trying to figure out some way they could, and there isn't.
You could tell he was going through his head of all the regulations and something that we might be breaking so that he could give us a citation or tell us to shut it down, and he couldn't find any loophole he could use on us. And all he said was, that is really a great idea you got there.
That is exactly what I want to know.
Yeah, as long as, like we say, you're not running it out of the river and discharging into the river. We have this pool that we use here, this little bathtub, or you can use a swimming pool. We had a kids' swimming pool for a couple of years we brought down an inflatable one, inflate it down the river, and use that. So it's not like you have to have water coming out of the river and going back in. When we're done at the end of the day, the clean water will go back in and all the concentrates come with us.
full?
Yep. And this pail's funny, but I'm just making a new pail at home, adding more pails finally.
Yeah, we normally have a hose on the end of that, but it broke this one, and he's making a new pail to use, so it's not ready yet.
So, how come you haven't tried selling them? Making them
Cost to make them, and I don't have a bender or none of that stuff.
So it's get someone to do it, and then they make all the money, and you don't make any.
Well, it's better than not making any money. You're not making it, you can't do it right. You gotta take a chance somewhere.
That's a fact. I haven't really shopped it around, so
I mean, somebody would make it for you,
yeah.
so that you can still make money, right? I mean,